So North MacArthur is the mixing pool for
this year. Randy Roper is going to be at North MacArthur, and Randy Roper is a Pepperdine speaker, and that's Phil Sanders' preacher, which moves us into this next one. You brought up Focal Point. This is a post by Wayne Jones. Wayne Jones took a job with, Bear Valley in Colorado, but he's still, from a distance, he's still working Focal Point, even though Sam Dilbeck is there. And here's their lineup. And this may not be exhaustive. And again, if I miss something, then they are obviously free to correct me. Wayne Jones says, we are still working to finalize the schedules, but you're not going to want to miss this year's Focal Point. Confirmed speakers include Rick Brumbrack, who is now at Freed Hardeman, where they're about to use 3 Pepperdine speakers plus Chris McCurley. Dan Winkler, who will be at Freed Hardeman with 3 Pepperdine speakers. I'm going to start skipping some. Sam Dilbeck, Drew Leonard, Carla Moore, Eric Owens, he's a big PTP personality, Steve Higginbotham, Dale and Jeff Jenkins, Steve Lloyd, Matthew Wendy Gibson, Aubrey Deaver, that's Mac Deaver's grandson's wife. All these people are coming to Focal Point. Now, they can correct me if I'm wrong, but at the same time that there's not an MSOP man on the Freed Hardeman lectures, at the same time there's not one Texas School of Preaching personality on Focal Point. There's not one MSOP man on Focal Point. So basically what it starts shaking up to be is
that's Wayne Jones' brother-in-law is a Memphis man, and
I didn't think about that.
He's included, used to be included all the time.
Oh, Dan Cates.
Dan Cates.
And then Wayne Jones' dad is teaching at Wesley School, Tri-City School, and so that's where I say the circle has clearly gotten too big. They never make a decision on what's right and what's wrong. They always make decisions on, this is going to affect my brother-in-law, this is going to affect my dad, on and on and on. So basically, what you do have, Dale and Jeff Jenkins coming to Focal Point means you don't get Don Blackwell, which should mean you're not going to get Aaron Gallagher. It looks like you're not going to get B.J. Clark. So that's what I was going to say, is some people need to basically look around and ask the question, is Texas School of Preaching and Memphis School of Preaching about to leave y'all behind, essentially with Freed Hardeman and Bear Valley?
Well, I absolutely can state, without any reservation, that Terrence Dindy is not going to be for this. Whether or not he's going to speak out against it, He's already told us. I'm saying we're basically hearing from him and from Omari French in no uncertain terms that they're not messing around with liberals.
Oh, yeah.
That's a house full of liberals.
Oh, yeah.
They will be with anybody, those people that... Drew Leonard, man, you talk about a change. That's unbelievable. I heard you discussing the things that you were putting up there, but I didn't see it in print. I cannot believe that Drew Leonard's grandfather is not... whatever you say about a person who's still alive.
Rolling in his grave.
Yeah, he's alive though.
But this is, and so,
His parents as well. Drew Leonard's parents.
Yeah, and I mean, that makes no sense either. Drew is in the same area as Wesley. Wesley's telling me on the phone, I'm not going to the PTP. Everybody from PTP is coming to Focal Point, and Drew's right there. Dale Jenkins, Jeff Jenkins. So you said this earlier, and I'm saying, take a look around. Where are the Texas School of Preachers? Where's the Memphis School of Preachers? Are they leaving y'all behind? Are they giving you any heads up? We're leaving y'all. Now, here's the next one. And
I'm saying Jason Rollo, too. Jason Rollo's not fooling around with these people.
Yeah.
If he is, then that's just, I don't give up.
Yeah.
There's just hope for everybody. And I absolutely, unless I'm told unequivocally, I absolutely guarantee you Jason Rollo is not with these folk. I used to say that with Sam Dilbeck, but, once he went to Corsicana, it just, that changed that.
Well, and that's what people would have used to have said about Mike Vestal also. He's in that
For
list.
sure.
I didn't list him, but plenty of people used to would have said that about Mike Vestal. So here's what you said earlier about, you brought him up and you said maybe someone said, oh, well, they made a whole program, they didn't talk about me. So this is what I said too about, you need to start looking around and seeing if Don Blackwell is about to leave you behind. because he said, I'm not using Jeff Jenkins and I'm not using Chris McCurley. And clearly, Freed Hardeman is going to keep doing that. This was put out, and this is just the statement, and they can correct it if they want to. A member from South Seminole down in Florida, where Gary Summers is the preacher, he said, I would suggest a call to Gary Summers and work out the difference. He said, I think some of the accusations you made are beyond what the data actually shows, and Evan Diaz has gotten GBN to remove Phil Sanders from the PTP lineup. This is, that's Evan, that's his wife. They went to PTP. He does work with GBN, and according to this individual, he says Evan convinced GBN to remove Phil Sanders. I can't believe that Cody McCoy didn't have that done. Cody McCoy came out of the Portland congregation and just went right into house to house, heart to heart, and polishing the pulpit. And of course, this would be a moment where Cody McCoy could say back, you don't know what I do with PTP. And I would say back, my point exactly. We never know which way y'all's wind is blowing. And so,
in 2015, they put out a just unequivocal statement at the Portland, at the Wildcat Church of the Wildcat Drive congregation, Church of Christ in Portland, not having anything to do with Bear Valley. And I'm just saying, how can you be not having anything to do with Bear Valley? Mm-hmm. And any of the folk that are, if they're going to Focal Point, you're having to do, flat out, you're having to do with people that are with Bear Valley and the whole crowd. Matter of fact, Brian Kenyon was there. He just said, I had no idea about Jay Lockhart. We've used him. We're not going to use him anymore. And, you know, if Jay Lockhart was still around, he would still be on the board of directors at Freed Hardeman. Mm-hmm. My understanding is the only reason he's off, I don't know this, but I know that his wife had Alzheimer's. He just couldn't be doing the things that he used to do. And so,
And we've seen that a number of times.
Oh, yeah.
Someone being scheduled to be on a lectureship, you say something bad, and they say, hey, I didn't even go to that. Yeah. And then you're like, oh, you pulled out because of principle? And they say, no, I had the flu.
Yeah.
I'm not going otherwise, I had the flu. So, you know, if that's true, I say that needs to be done. Phil Sanders need to be taken off of PTP. Randy Roper, his preacher, is, you know, fine to be with women preachers on Pepperdine just like Bruce McClarty. But now here's my question. Someone says, you're making the circle so small, nobody's going to be in it. And I'm asking, is it not possible that y'all made y'all circle so big there are people in it who shouldn't be? What are y'all going to do about Dan Winkler? If you're taking Phil Sanders off and you're saying that you will not use Jeff Jenkins, I don't know how Dan Winkler is coming back to polishing the pulpit. Yeah. He is, 5 days ago, Dan Winkler preached at the Sunset School of Preaching lectures. And he was there with Pepperdine people, Pepperdine speakers. Dan Winkler, living the transformed life. And on, you know, this is minuscule, but I'm saying folk from back when would be having a cow that he's using a woman translator. Do you know that Sunset is historically known for saying that the guilty party can remarry, direct operation of the Holy Spirit? Their graduates frequently come out ecumenical, which, you know, y'all are all saying that you're not for unity and diversity, you're not for fellowship without endorsement, but that is Sunset MO, and it has been for decades. You think that Dan Winkler doesn't know what Sunset is?
I know he knows what Sunset is.
There's no way. It's like, my generation's not going to know anything about Sunset. And here's the other thing, too. It's like, if I could ask guys, I'm 30, if I could ask a number of guys, hey, do you like Wayne Jackson material? Yeah, I love Wayne Jackson material. And then I'd ask them, did you read his debate that he had with one of the teachers from Sunset? No. And I'm saying, they were having it about, can the guilty party remarry? And it's just so easily documented. I recognize there are a number of papers that I would read where someone's like, I'm not even going to hunt that stuff down. That book is readily available.
It is just guaranteed that the Brown Trail School of Preaching folk know that Wendell Winkler would not be involved with Sunset.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that's his dad.
Oh, yeah.
No way. They, you know, people around here, people that's listening probably don't even know Wendell Winkler, but the Brown Trail School of Preaching people do. And it's like, what are you doing? You know, could you save this guy I mean, that's what you're choosing not to do if you won't say anything. You're basically guaranteeing that Wendell Winkler and Dan Winkler will not spend eternity together. This is an individual who is involved with, we're basically saying, Sunset has the rankest individuals. They don't have a problem with Pepperdine when you really get down to it.
Not at all. And so here's my thing, I get older Sunset graduates that call me.
Yeah.
And all I have to do to them is, like, I say, well, would you go to Pepperdine? And they say, oh, well, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I say, well, then I start giving them a list of all the different Pepperdine speakers that come into Sunset, and they'll tell me. And they'll say, well, I haven't kept up with the school, but I am a graduate. And I say, well, that's where they are. So here's another thing to think about. Why does Dan need to be at Sunset? He already gets prime time at the Memphis lectures. I think he's their closeout speaker every year. And he's on polishing the pulpit. It's like, if those things weren't enough, and now let me do this too. Everybody keeps saying, well, if they invite me to come speak on the truth, y'all keep acting like these are lost folk. You know, You're not going to a Baptist congregation to present the gospel. You're not going to a Mormon conference to promote the Bible. You're going into, Bill Love said, congenital Church of Christers, born into it. You're just going to traditional people. Jimmy Lovell said, every person deserves to hear the gospel once more than anybody deserves to hear it twice, and y'all always talk to me like it's the mission field. How did you end up, like if I'm talking to Dan Winkler, how did you end up to Sunset? Well, they invited me to teach the truth. What does that say about the rest of the faculty? You think Truman Scott can't do it? Or Truett Adair can't do it? That's Ed Wharton. Like, these characters need Dan Winkler to come in. This is politics. This is the buddy system. And basically, Dan Winkler, and I would say this is what this moment is Dan Winkler is excelling beyond West Memphis, which is what was said back in 1984. I'm done situating myself to the western corner of Memphis, Tennessee. And you're going on to the bigger field. So this